pleasure of singing both things that you'd arranged, that you had adapted, I guess I can say, particularly those things that you arranged out of the storytelling traditions, and then things that you had composed. Now, those are three quite separate strains. For most people, you get a composer, you get a conductor, you get an arranger, but bringing them all together, it sounds as if that's some of where you came from, that there wasn't that kind of segregation of what you do. It was music.
Yes. Actually, arranging was a very important thing for me because I graduated from university in 1976 and I composed, but the kind of music that I composed was so foreign to the musical language that was around at the time. I remember the composer John Rutter, the English composer, who's been incredibly kind to me. He's 10 years older than me, and he was a graduate student at the same time, and he was writing, like me, tunes in, pieces with tunes and pieces with harmony, and people thought, "What is this?"
Well, was it supposed to be all dissonant or something?
Well, it was at the time. It was actually, in some ways, it was a very exciting time. But for me, when I left Cambridge, I always loved jazz. So and I played a bit at the time, and I loved it. So I became an orchestrator and an arranger for the jazz orchestra that still existed at the BBC, and all the broadcasting companies in Europe all had what they called radio orchestras, big bands and string orchestra. It was like a great big Hollywood orchestra, actually. And I loved it. We get these big singers who would come from the States or from all over the world, actually, and conductors as well. And they'd come and work with the orchestra, and you'd have to, write their charts. And for me, that was great. I'd go to the studio and you'd write it all out in pencil, or actually, when you were feeling confident, you wrote it out in pen. Yeah, I couldn't do it now.
There are people who do not understand what a chart is.
Yeah, it's an arrangement of a piece of music. So, yeah, it's a jazz term.
Yes,
so
it is.
They like a chart.
Yes.
It's basically
some of those guys don't read music, so this chart business is very important.
Yes, because it's all you had to learn symbols, jazz symbols that people read from, a different type of chord symbols that. But actually, ironically, you see, chord symbols were in Baroque music. And if you were a harpsichord player in Bach's time, you played from chord symbols. So you improvised, and so it's, in a sense, it's the same thing. And I loved doing that job because I would write the arrangement, and they'd say, "We're recording it tomorrow," and so I'd drive it over to I was living in Wimbledon, just near the tennis courts at the time. And there was a copyist who lived kind of about 5 miles away, and I'd drive it over there, and he'd say, "Right, I'll take it to the studio tomorrow," and that's what they did. And you would hear it recorded, and you'd think, well, that wasn't so good.
But it's a learning experience.
Exactly. I know I won't do that again.